Howdy, Banjo Ben here.
Howdy, I'm Jake Stockdale.
We're here in the general store, and we're in a very special place. We're here in front of your workbench.
It's magical.
Yes, it's magical, and that's because every instrument that gets purchased here at the general store spends its due time here on the workbench. And what we're doing is we're making sure that you get the instrument that you deserve, the instrument that you paid for, and that you're completely satisfied whenever you get it. You know, whenever you buy something online, there's this level of unknown. Mm-hmm. You know, you're having to trust somebody. Maybe you've heard somebody play an instrument like you want, or maybe you've read reviews, but still there's that level of unknown. So we're here to make sure that you can trust what you buy and that you're going to be satisfied whenever you get that instrument. So we just want to take a moment with the banjo and show you a few of the things that we make sure are just right before we put it in a box and ship it to your home. Jake, why don't you walk through some of those things now?
Yeah, sure thing. Well, a banjo, there's more to setting up a banjo than there is, say, like a guitar or something like that. Because a guitar is kind of just made the way it is to a point. I mean, we do a lot of things to make it play well and respond well. But a banjo, it can literally be like do or die as far as the setup goes. You can have a great banjo that doesn't sound very good at all if it's not set up properly. So just to start up at the headstock end, naturally, we check all the tuners, make sure that they're adjusted properly with the tension screws. We make sure the nut's the proper height and that the slots are cleaned out in the nut, because a lot of times when you have a buzz that you can't really figure out, 9 times out of 10, that's in either the nut or the saddle slot. It'll have a piece of debris, or maybe it's not cut quite right and the string's vibrating in that slot.
And you may be asking, just really quickly,
sure.
You may be asking, well, you know, why are the nut slots not cut right? And the reason is, this final setup piece is what some of these manufacturers skip over to be able to offer you more of a product for the money that you're paying. Right. And what they're depending on is people like me and Jake on the other end that are taking these instruments and making sure that they're set up just right. That doesn't get done at a lot of places. Some places do. We're one of those places that make sure that we get it put together exactly right for you. So as we move down, what else are we looking for?
Well, we adjust the neck. I have very, very strong opinions on how much relief a neck needs to have to give the proper projection. You know, if some people, when they come from the factory, the neck will be bowed over the opposite way that I like. And they do that because it can make it easier to play. But they just do that because it's easy to make it easier to play that way. But you're losing a lot of potential tone. So I set the neck back where it's supposed to be, and then I adjust the action with the nut and the playing end of the banjo down here as it should be. And as we move on down, another thing we do is put in 5th string spikes.
Everybody asks about that.
Yeah. And so what that is, if you don't already know, the banjo, you have this 5th string, and it's shorter than the other 4 strings. So if you're going to change keys and put a capo, which is a little device that clamps the strings down to a fret, anywhere on the first, well, anywhere really, you're going to have to compensate this 5th string accordingly. And so 5th string spikes are just these little railroad nails that we literally drill and install right in the fingerboard. And so what you can do then is when you install the capo, you can just take your left hand and pop the 5th string under the spike that matches the distance you've gone on the other end. And
they're not that difficult to put in, but you still have to know what you're doing.
Right, yeah. And it's not that they're that difficult to put in, but there's a certain art to making them look good and everything like that.
And to make them intonate well.
Right,
and that the string will hang in there. So, and you may have not even ever heard of 5th string spikes. It could be something that you call us, say, tell me, do I need that? Here's what I play. And we'll recommend the setup that you need there.
Right.
What else are we going to look at?
Well, we always adjust the head. That's the easiest thing to adjust on a banjo that makes the biggest difference that most people overlook.
And I've heard a lot of people say, just get it as tight as you possibly can.
Yeah, that's not necessarily the best formula.
That's not the best formula.
You get it too tight, you're going to lose some body to the sound.
Right.
It's going to get tinny. And then the bridge, we make sure that it's properly set for intonation. We like it to ring out perfectly true on the 12th fret when compared to the harmonic.
I get it all the time. People are like, well, I get up the neck and the banjo doesn't sound right.
It gets out of tune, yeah.
The bridge is doesn't have the correct placement.
The tailpiece angle, that's very important also. A lot of people, especially back in the 70s during like that real staccato arch top banjo craze, they would crank those tailpieces, the angle all the way down to the head. And that, to me, is a bad formula. I like them, running fairly parallel at a certain distance. And then I always go inside the banjo after this. I check all the tightness of all the nuts, the fit of the neck, the roundness of the rim, the position of the coordinator rods, and the neutrality of the coordinator rods. Some people like to adjust the action by really cranking those coordinator rods down, and that puts the rim in a bind.
Yeah.
I don't think that's very conducive to the best sound you can get
It's
out
just
of
not humane.
Right.
It's not humane to your banjo. You don't want to just leave it in a bind all
Right.
the time.
Yeah.
Except where it likes to be left in a bind.
It's like a shock collar. That's why it spends a day at the spa and it gets all relaxed.
That's right. This is like the spa for your banjo. Essentially, what we're trying to tell you folks is that you can buy from the general store and you can have the utmost confidence that your banjo is going to be professionally looked after, professionally set up. If you have any specific requests in your setup that you would like, then you could just give us a call and tell us, hey, I'd like it done this way.
Sure.
And we're happy to do that. So we'd be honored to have your business and for you to trust us with your business here at the general store. We make sure that you get the best possible instrument that you can for your budget in your hands as soon as possible.